10 life rules that will change everything. Have you ever wondered what separates those who thrive through life's chaos from those who are overwhelmed by it? What if the secrets to mastering uncertainty, building resilience, and creating unstoppable momentum were already within your reach? Imagine if ancient wisdom could reveal practical rules to not just survive, but truly transform your life starting today. The way life unfolds is unpredictable, yet within that uncertainty lies something undeniable, the ability to shape experience through action, perception, and choice. The Stoics understood this well, not as an abstract philosophy but as a practical way of engaging with reality. They saw that the conditions of life matter far less than the approach one takes toward them. In every challenge, in every moment of hesitation, there exists a choice to react passively or to engage intentionally. Throughout history, patterns of success, discipline, and resilience have been distilled into guiding principles, rules that, when applied with consistency, transform not just habits, but entire perspectives. These rules are not rigid laws, nor are they promises of instant success. Instead, they serve as frameworks, offering clarity in decision-making, efficiency in effort, and balance in daily life, from managing time effectively to mastering new skills, from overcoming hesitation to building lasting habits. Each of these principles provides an opportunity to refine one's approach to the world. Modern life presents endless distractions, competing priorities, and an overwhelming amount of information without clear guidelines. It's easy to drift, working hard without progress, starting without finishing, waiting for the perfect moment that never arrives. The difference between those who move forward and those who remain stuck is rarely intelligence or talent, but rather the structure they impose upon their lives. Clear principles provide that structure, ensuring that energy is directed to what truly matters. The rules explored in this episode are not theoretical concepts. They are practical tools, tested across time, grounded in psychology, philosophy, and real-world application. They serve as reminders that progress is not about doing everything, but about doing the right things consistently, whether it's refining focus, breaking through hesitation, or building habits that endure. These principles offer a foundation for meaningful growth. The mind left unguided follows the path of least resistance, seeking comfort over challenge, distraction over depth, postponement over action. Yet with intentional structure, even the smallest efforts accumulate into profound results. The Stoics often return to a simple idea: external circumstances fluctuate, but internal discipline remains within reach. Mastering these rules is not about perfection, but about direction. Choosing moment by moment to engage with life actively rather than passively, these 10 principles offer a way forward, not through rigid adherence, but through thoughtful application. Each one is a step toward greater clarity, efficiency, and personal mastery. The question is not whether they work. The question is whether they will be applied. Life continues. Time moves forward, and every moment presents a choice to hesitate or to act, to wait or to begin. And within that choice lies the only real power one ever has. The 9-10 rule: focus on your response. Life is unpredictable. Unexpected challenges arise. Plans shift and circumstances often unfold in ways beyond control. Yet the Stoics understood a fundamental truth: what happens is far less important than how one responds to it. This is the essence of the 90-10 rule. Only 10% of life is determined by external events, while 90% is shaped by the way one chooses to react. Marcus Aurelius reflected on this, constantly reminding himself that external conditions hold no real power over one's state of mind unless granted permission. He saw that frustration, anger, or disappointment were not caused by events themselves, but by the judgments placed upon them. To him, every situation, whether adversity or fortune, was neutral in nature. It became a burden or an opportunity. Only through perception, Seneca expanded on this idea. noting how easily people surrender control over their emotions, allowing circumstances to dictate their internal state. He observed that many hardships are amplified not by their actual difficulty, but by the resistance they provoke. Complaints, resentment, and dwelling on what should have been only deepen distress. Seneca believed that true power lies in mastering one's reaction and refusing to be ruled by the emotions that external events trigger. Epicus took this understanding even further, insisting that the only real freedom a person possesses is the ability to govern their own mind. He taught that while external events are often beyond control, the way one responds remains entirely within reach. He saw clearly that a person who allows circumstances to dictate their emotions is no different from a ship tossed aimlessly by the wind's stability. He believed comes not from controlling the world, but from controlling one's response to it. This principle remains just as relevant today. The modern world is filled with unforeseen obstacles, delays, criticism, setbacks, misunderstandings. These moments are inevitable, but within each there exists a choice to react impulsively, letting emotions take over, or to respond with clarity. Recognizing that while the event itself may be fixed, the meaning assigned to it is not. Marcus Aurelius practiced this by pausing before reacting, reminding himself that his initial impulse was often not the wisest course. Seneca encouraged reframing difficulties as lessons, treating challenges not as misfortunes, but as opportunities to practice resilience. Epicus taught that every event carries two possibilities. It can be a reason to suffer, or a chance to grow. The difference is determined entirely by perception. The 9-10 rule is not about ignoring hardship or pretending difficulties do not exist. It is about reclaiming control over what is always within reach: interpretation, response, and attitude. The real reality is that external circumstances will never fully align with expectations, but the ability to navigate them with composure remains an ever-present choice. Those who master this rule do not avoid struggle, they simply refuse to be defined by it. The 80-20 principle: work smarter, not harder. Not all efforts yield the same results. The Stoics recognize that energy, when misdirected, leads to exhaustion rather than progress. The 80-20 principle, known as the Paro principle, reflects this truth. 80% of outcomes come from just 20% of actions. This rule suggests that a small fraction of effort, if focused correctly, produces the majority of meaningful results. The challenge is not working more, but working wisely. Marcus Aurelius, despite carrying the immense burden of ruling an empire, understood the importance of focusing only on what truly mattered. He constantly reminded himself that time is finite, and to spend it on trivialities is to waste life itself. His reflections reveal a quiet discipline, one that prioritized essential tasks over distractions, ensuring that energy was directed where it held the most value. He knew that effectiveness was not measured by busyness, but by the ability to distinguish what is necessary from what is not. Seneca expanded on this idea, observing how easily people become consumed by obligations that serve no real purpose. He warned against the tendency to scatter attention across too many pursuits, believing that true mastery comes from depth rather than breadth. He saw that many chase after endless commitments, yet fail to make meaningful progress in any. Seneca advised focusing on fewer high-impact endeavors, recognizing that a life well lived is not about doing more, but about doing what truly matters. Epicus viewed this principle through the lens of mental and emotional investment. He observed that people often waste energy worrying about things beyond their control, allowing insignificant matters to consume their thoughts. To him, wisdom was not in engaging with everything, but in carefully choosing where to direct attention. He encouraged his students to ask, "Does this contribute to my growth? Does this align with my purpose? If not, it is not worth the time or energy." In today's world, Distractions are abundant notifications, endless tasks, social obligations. The tendency to spread oneself too thin is stronger than ever yet. The 80-20 rule remains unchanged. A small percentage of actions drive the most significant results, whether in career, learning, or relationships. The key is to identify and focus on what truly moves the needle forward. Marcus Aurelius practiced this by filtering out unnecessary concerns, directing his efforts only where they carried weight. Senior advised reviewing commitments regularly, eliminating those that drained energy without providing real value. Epicus reminded his students that attention is a resource, and like all resources, it should be invested with intention. This principle does not advocate doing less for its own sake. It encourages refining effort to ensure that is not wasted on what is trivial. Those who apply it do not just work hard, they work with precision, and in that precision lies the difference between endless striving and meaningful progress. The 21-66 rule, building habits that stick change, is not a single event. It is a process shaped by consistency rather than intensity. The Stoics understood that transformation does not happen overnight, nor does it rely on willpower alone. Instead, they saw discipline as something cultivated gradually through deliberate repetition. The 21-66 rule reflects this reality. It takes 21 days to establish a habit, 90 days to integrate it into daily life, and 66 days for it to become automatic. The key is not perfection but persistence. Marcus Aurelius recognized that self-improvement is a daily practice rather than a moment of inspiration. He often reminded himself that progress is built through small repeated actions by choosing discipline over comfort, even when motivation fades. He understood that the mind resists change not because it is impossible, but because it is unfamiliar, yet through steady effort, what once felt difficult eventually becomes second nature. Senior examined this principle from a different perspective, focusing on the nature of habit itself. He saw that people do not rise to the level of their goals. They fall to the level of their routines. He cautioned against waiting for the right conditions to begin, knowing that habits are not created by thought alone, but by action repeated until it becomes effortless to him. Discipline was not about forcing oneself to act, but about removing the friction that makes inaction easier. Epictetus, whose philosophy was shaped by adversity, taught that character is built through consistent practice. He observed that change is not about sudden transformation, but about daily refinement, choosing again and again to act in alignment with one's principles. He believed that small actions repeated over time create an unshakable foundation. In his view, the key to mastery was not in grand gestures, but in the ability to show up day after day without excuse. This principle remains just as relevant. Today, many seek rapid improvement, hoping for immediate results, yet the reality of habit formation remains unchanged. What is practiced consistently becomes permanent, whether in developing discipline, learning a skill, or shaping one's mindset. The process follows the same pattern. Repetition creates familiarity. Familiarity creates routine, and routine becomes identity. Marcus Aurelius practiced this by reinforcing his principles daily, writing and reflecting as a way to solidify his beliefs. Seneca understood that meaningful habits require intention, that small decisions compound over time to shape the course of a life. Epicus reminded his students that excellence is not an act, but a habit formed through steady effort, not occasional motivation. The 21-66 rule is not about forcing change, but about creating an environment where change becomes inevitable. It teaches that discipline is not a rare trait, but a practice, one built not on willpower alone, but on the quiet persistence of showing up again and again, until the new way of being becomes effortless. 10-0-hour rule plus 1%, improvement mastery. Through continuous effort. Excellence is not an accident, nor is it achieved through brief moments of inspiration. The Stoics understood that mastery is the result of deliberate, sustained effort, not talent alone. The 10,000-hour rule suggests that reaching a level of expertise in any field requires thousands of hours of focused practice. Yet this journey need not feel overwhelming when paired with the principle of 1%. Improvement progress becomes both attainable and inevitable. Small, consistent advancements accumulate over time, leading to extraordinary results. Marcus Aurelius embraced this philosophy in his approach to discipline. He did not seek greatness through sudden transformation, but through daily refinement, believing that every action, no matter how small, contributed to shaping his character. He reminded himself that effort repeated with intention builds both skill and resilience. Mastery in his eyes was not about reaching a final destination, but about committing to continuous growth. Sinner explored this idea from a broader perspective, recognizing that people often overestimate what they can achieve in a short time, while underestimating what is possible through sustained effort. Saw that those who chase quick results frequently become discouraged, while those who focus on steady improvement surpass expectations. Seneca believed that progress is not defined by sudden leaps, but by steady accumulation each day, adding another layer of knowledge, skill, or discipline. Epicus, who transformed his own life through relentless practice, understood that mastery is built not through occasional effort, but through unwavering consistency. He observed that those who wait for motivation to act rarely achieve lasting success, while those who commit to small, deliberate improvements inevitably move forward. He taught that by focusing on incremental growth rather than perfection, individuals develop both the patience and the skill required to excel in today's world, where instant gratification is often prioritized over long-term effort. This principle remains as relevant as ever. Many seek shortcuts to success, expecting rapid progress without sustained work. Yet, true mastery follows a different path, one where small intentional steps repeated consistently lead to profound transformation. Whether in developing expertise, refining a skill, or strengthening discipline, the same rule applies: steady progress. However, minor compounds over time. Marcus Aurelius practiced this by maintaining his commitment to self-examination, reinforcing his values through daily reflection. Seneca understood that true wisdom is gained not in moments, but over a lifetime of learning. Epicus taught that improvement is not reserved for the naturally gifted, but for those who are willing to commit to the process day after day without expectation of immediate reward. The 10,000-hour rule and the 1% improvement principle remind us that mastery is not a matter of talent, but of dedication. The goal is not perfection, but persistence. Each effort, no matter how small, builds upon the last, shaping ability, character, and understanding. In this patient, deliberate practice, true excellence is formed, not through sudden breakthroughs, but through the quiet, continuous work of refining one's craft. The 525th rule: focus on what truly matters. The mind is often pulled in many directions, overwhelmed by competing priorities, endless goals, and constant demands. The Stoics understood that spreading attention too thin leads to scattered effort, draining energy without meaningful progress. The 525 rule, attributed to Warren Buffett, captures this wisdom. Write down 25 goals, but focus only on the top 5. The rest, though tempting, are distractions disguised as priorities. True success comes not from doing more, but from concentrating on what matters most. Marcus Aurelius reflected deeply on the necessity of directing one's attention with intention. He observed that time is finite, and that to waste it on trivial pursuits is to squander the most valuable resource one has. He often reminded himself to strip life down to its essentials, ensuring that his energy was spent on actions that aligned with his values, rather than being scattered across fleeting desires. To Marcus, clarity of purpose was not a luxury, but a necessity. Without it, life becomes a series of distractions rather than a path toward mastery. Seneca expanded on this, warning against the illusion that one can pursue everything at once. He recognized that many ambitions, though attractive, ultimately serve as obstacles rather than opportunities. He believed that those who attempt to accomplish too much often achieve little. Not because they lack ability, but because their focus is divided. Senior encouraged a ruthless evaluation of priorities, advising that success is built not by adding more to one's plate, but by removing the non-essential. Epicus approached this concept with his characteristic directness. He saw that people often become trapped by the expectations of others, pursuing goals that are not truly their own. He emphasized the importance of personal discernment, of asking whether a pursuit genuinely contributes to one's growth or simply serves as a distraction to him. Discipline was not just about effort, but about the wisdom to know where that effort should be placed. He taught that true freedom comes from eliminating what does not serve one's purpose, creating space for what truly does. This principle is more relevant today than ever before, with endless opportunities, limitless distractions, and a culture that glorifies busyness. It is easy to mistake activity for progress. The modern world constantly demands attention, making it difficult to separate what is truly meaningful from what is merely urgent. The Stoics remind us that to focus on everything is to focus on nothing. Only by choosing deliberately, by identifying and committing to what truly matters, can one create a life of depth and purpose. Marcus Aurelius practiced this by filtering out distractions, ensuring that his time was spent in alignment with his values. Seneca advocated reviewing priorities regularly, cutting away what diluted one's focus. Epicus taught that external obligations should never take precedence over internal clarity, reminding his students that saying no to the unimportant is just as crucial as saying yes to the essential. The 525th rule is not just about prioritization, it is about liberation. It offers a framework for directing energy where it has the greatest impact, preventing the slow erosion of focus caused by unnecessary pursuits. Those who apply it do not achieve success through exhaustion but through precision, and in that precision lies the difference between a life spent reacting to everything and a life shaped by intention. The 2-minute rule: stop procrastinating. Start now. Procrastination is rarely about laziness. More often it is the product of hesitation, an internal resistance that turns simple tasks into overwhelming burdens. The Stoics understood that action, not thought, is what shapes reality. The 2-minute rule embodies this idea. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, do it immediately. Small actions taken without delay prevent the accumulation of unnecessary mental clutter. Inertia feeds hesitation, but movement, no matter how minor, breaks the cycle. Marcus Aurelius saw procrastination not just as a delay of action, but as a failure to engage fully with life. He reminded himself repeatedly that the present moment is the only one within reach, and postponing what can be done now is a quiet surrender to distraction. He understood that hesitation does not merely waste time, it weakens the ability to act decisively. His philosophy was not about rushing, but about eliminating the unnecessary pauses that erode momentum. Seneca examined procrastination from another perspective, recognizing that people often wait for the right moment to act. He warned against this illusion, observing that waiting for perfect conditions is a form of self-deception. He believed that life does not offer certainty before one begins. It rewards those who start. Despite uncertainty, Seneca encouraged immediate engagement with even the smallest tasks, knowing that action once initiated has a way of carrying itself forward. Epictetus approached this idea with his characteristic practicality. He taught that the mind, if left unchecked, will find endless reasons to delay. He saw that hesitation strengthens habit, reinforcing patterns of inaction. To him, discipline was not about grand gestures, but about the consistent refusal to indulge unnecessary delay. Every action, no matter how small, shapes character. He believed that by taking immediate action, even in minor ways, one cultivates a habit of decisiveness that extends far beyond trivial tasks. In modern life, where distractions are constant and obligations pile up. The 2-minute rule serves as a simple but powerful antidote to stagnation. It prevents small tasks from accumulating into overwhelming to-do lists and reinforces a mindset of action over hesitation, whether it's responding to a message, tidying a space, or making a quick decision. Acting immediately clears mental space and builds momentum for larger tasks. Marcus Aurelius practiced this by reminding himself daily that hesitation serves no purpose. Seneca urged his readers to recognize that time once lost cannot be reclaimed. Epictetus emphasized that the discipline of action built in small moments creates a foundation for greater challenges. They all understood that action is a habit, and every moment presents a choice: either to delay or to engage. The 2-minute rule is not about rushing through life or reducing tasks to efficiency alone. It is about recognizing the weight of small decisions, the way they accumulate into either momentum or inertia. Those who master this principle do not rely on motivation. They rely on movement, and in movement they find clarity, progress, and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing that hesitation no longer holds power over them. The 5-140 rule: time management mastery. Time is the most valuable resource, yet it is often spent without intention. The Stoics understood that without deliberate structure, the day can easily be consumed by trivial tasks, distractions, and urgent matters that leave little room for meaningful progress. The 5-140 rule offers a framework for managing time effectively: 50% of the day dedicated to high-priority work, 10% reserved for the unexpected, and 40% allocated to everything else. This balance ensures that what truly matters is prioritized, while allowing flexibility for life's inevitable disruptions. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the fleeting nature of time, reminding himself that what is not used wisely is lost forever. He understood that productivity is not measured by busyness, but by the ability to focus on what truly moves life forward. He saw how easily one could drift through the day, attending to distractions while neglecting what is essential for him. Structuring time was not about rigid control, but about ensuring that energy was directed toward what truly mattered. Senior explored the same principle, warning against the illusion that time is abundant. He observed that people often delay what is important, assuming that they will have more time in the future. Yet he recognized that without structure, time is squandered on obligations that do not serve one's highest priorities. He emphasized the need to allocate time deliberately, ensuring that moments of focus were protected rather than endlessly interrupted by minor concerns. Epictetus approached time from a different perspective, seeing it as a reflection of discipline. He believed that how one spends the day reveals one's values, whether consciously chosen or dictated by external forces. He taught that attention is a resource, and if given away carelessly to distractions, to unimportant commitments, it leaves little space for personal growth or mastery. He encouraged structuring time with purpose, ensuring that the most important tasks were given the energy they deserved. This principle remains just as relevant in the modern world, where distractions are more abundant than ever. Notifications, emails, and constant demands can easily consume the day, leaving little time for deep work or meaningful progress. The 5-140 rule provides a way to ensure that priorities remain at the center of daily efforts, while still allowing for flexibility. 50% of time goes to the most significant tasks, ensuring that essential work is not neglected. 10% accounts for interruptions, acknowledging that unpredictability is inevitable. The remaining 40% allows for other responsibilities, administrative tasks, social interactions, and necessary obligations. Marcus Aurelius practiced this by filtering out unnecessary concerns, ensuring that his limit time was used effectively. Seneca encouraged intentional scheduling, knowing that time once lost cannot be recovered. Epictetus emphasized that one's daily actions reflect one's true priorities, urging careful allocation of attention and effort. The Stoics remind us that mastery over time is mastery over life itself. The 50-140 rule is not about rigid scheduling, but about ensuring that focus is placed where it matters most. Those who apply this principle do not simply manage time. They direct it, ensuring that each day moves them closer to their purpose, rather than further into distraction. In this mindful approach, life becomes less about reacting to what demands attention, and more about shaping each moment with intention. The 32-1 sleep rule: recharge your body and mind. Rest is not a luxury. It is a necessity. The Stoics understood that a clear mind and a resilient body are essential for engaging with life fully in a world that often glorifies busyness. Sleep is treated as something to sacrifice in the pursuit of productivity, yet true efficiency and mental clarity are not achieved by working longer, but by recovering effectively. The 3-I-21 sleep rule offers a simple structure to optimize rest. Avoid heavy meals. 3 hours before bed, stop working. 2 hours before sleep, and disconnect from screens. 1 hour before lying down. This practice ensures that the body unwinds, the mind slows, and sleep becomes restorative rather than restless. Marcus Aurelius valued rest not as an indulgence but as a discipline. He understood that the mind overworked and exhausted is incapable of sound judgment. His reflections often return to the idea that sleep is not time lost, but time invested, fueling the ability to think clearly, act decisively, and remain steady in the face of challenges. He did not see rest as an escape, but as a tool for sustaining presence and effectiveness in daily life. Seneca examined sleep from another perspective, recognizing that an unsettled mind struggles to find true rest. He believed that preparing for sleep was just as important as sleep itself, noting that overstimulation, unresolved worries, and a lack of routine all contribute to nights filled with restlessness. He encouraged winding down the mind, deliberately ensuring that sleep was not merely an interruption of the day, but a transition into renewal. To him, sleep was an opportunity to reset, to begin each day with clarity rather than fatigue. Epicus, ever practical in his teachings, saw sleep as an extension of discipline. He understood that the way one prepares for rest reflects how one approaches life itself. A scattered, unstructured evening leads to an unfocused mind. A deliberate, intentional routine fosters resilience. He encouraged taking control of nighttime habits, not by rigid force, but by cultivating awareness of what truly supports well-being. He saw that good sleep is not just about duration, but about quality, and that how one transitions into rest determines the effectiveness of the day that follows. Today, where constant stimulation makes rest more elusive than ever, the wisdom of the Stoics remains invaluable. Sleep is often sacrificed in the name of productivity, yet a fatigued mind struggles to perform at its best. The 321 rule provides a simple yet effective approach. Avoiding heavy meals prevents discomfort. Stepping away from work allows the mind to detach, and disconnecting from screens signals the body to slow down. These small adjustments, practiced consistently, create the conditions for deeper, more restorative sleep. Marcus Aurelius practiced this by ensuring his mind was clear before rest, recognizing that sleep was preparation for the challenges of the next day. Seneca encouraged reducing mental clutter before bed, understanding that restlessness begins with the unresolved thoughts carried into the night. Epicus taught that structure is not restrictive but freeing, that a disciplined approach to rest leads to greater freedom in the day ahead. The Stoics remind us that rest is not idleness, but an essential part of functioning at the highest level. The 3-2-1 rule is not about rigid restriction. It is about creating a rhythm that supports clarity, energy, and resilience. Those who master rest do not wake up feeling behind. They wake up prepared, ready to engage with life fully, without the weight of exhaustion slowing them down. The 478 breathing technique. Calm your nerves instantly. The mind is often restless, caught between past regrets and future uncertainties. In moments of tension, thoughts, race breathing, becomes shallow, and clarity fades. The Stoics understood that while external events are beyond control, the body remains an anchor, breath in particular, serving as a gateway to presence and composure. The 478 breathing technique is a simple yet powerful practice. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 7, and exhale for 8. This structured rhythm slows the heart rate, calms the nervous system, and restores focus, offering an immediate shift from reaction to awareness. Marcus Aurelius frequently reminded himself that returning to the present moment is the key to navigating challenges with steadiness. He saw how emotions often escalate when left unchecked, and that pausing even briefly can create space between impulse and response, though he never had access to formal breathing techniques. His writings reveal an understanding of their essence, slowing down, taking control of internal rhythms, and allowing clarity to emerge naturally, rather than forcing it through willpower alone. Senior explored this concept through a different lens, observing how people often fuel their own distress by allowing emotions to spiral unchecked. He believed that composure is not something achieved after chaos, but something cultivated within it. He saw that when the body is tense, the mind follows, and that reversing this sequence, relaxing the body first, naturally leads to a calm mental state. He encouraged intentional breathing as a means to regain perspective, ensuring that emotions did not dictate decisions. Epictetus ever focused on practical philosophy understood that control over breath is control over self. He saw that many external situations provoke agitation, yet the ability to regulate one's internal state is always within reach to him. Mastery of the mind was not about suppressing emotion, but about managing the body's response to it. He encouraged his students to recognize that while thoughts may fluctuate wildly, the breath remains steady, always accessible, always ready to be used as a tool for regaining control. This practice remains profoundly relevant in modern life, where stress is constant and demands are unrelenting. Whether in moments of anxiety, frustration, or distraction, the 478 technique serves as an immediate reset, grounding the mind in the present. It is not about eliminating stress altogether, but about developing the ability to shift from reaction to intention, from scattered energy to calm awareness. Marcus Aurelius practiced this by reminding himself to step back before reacting, to engage with challenges from a place of steadiness rather than impulse. Seneca encouraged actively restoring balance rather than waiting for emotions to subside on their own. Epictetus believed that small, consistent practices shape character, and that something as simple as a single breath can be the difference between being controlled by circumstances and mastering them. The Stoics remind us that composure is not found in isolation from the world, but in the ability to remain steady within it. The 478 technique is not just a method of relaxation. It is a tool for sharpening awareness, for reclaiming presence. When the mind begins to drift, those who integrate this practice into their daily lives do not merely react to challenges they engage with them, deliberately ensuring that clarity rather than chaos shapes their response, the if not now. When rules stop waiting, start doing, the mind is skilled at postponement. It waits for the right moment, the perfect conditions, the feeling of readiness that never quite arrives. The Stoics understood that hesitation is often an illusion, an internal resistance disguised as prudence. The rule is simple: if not now. When the time to act is never ideal, yet waiting achieves nothing. Progress begins only when hesitation is replaced with action. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that time is fleeting, and that to delay what must be done is to lose what cannot be regained. He saw clearly that life does not pause for preparation. It continues indifferent to whether one is ready. He knew that those who wait for the perfect moment often find themselves waiting indefinitely, mistaking inaction for caution. His writings reflect a deep urgency, not in a frantic way, but in the understanding that every moment postponed is a moment lost. Seneca expanded on this, observing how people deceive themselves into believing they have unlimited time. He warned that the greatest tragedy is not failure, but potential wasted in hesitation. He noted that many dream of action, but remain frozen in planning, convincing themselves that later will be better. Yet he argued life is not measured by intentions, but by what is done. He encouraged an approach where decisions are made with awareness, but not delayed. In fear, Epicus, having endured circumstances beyond his control, knew that waiting for conditions to improve was futile. He believed that action, no matter how small, is always within reach. He saw hesitation as a refusal to engage with life fully, a quiet surrender to fear or uncertainty. He taught that those who act even imperfectly move forward, while those who wait remain stagnant. To him, the only true mistake was failing to begin. This principle is more relevant today than ever in a world filled with distractions, endless options, and limitless information. It is easy to remain in a state of planning, researching, or considering. Yet the Stoics remind us that clarity does not come before action. It emerges from it. The conditions will never be perfect, but movement itself creates momentum. Every delay, no matter how small, compounds over time, turning hesitation into habit. Marcus Aurelius practiced this by reminding himself that the present moment is all that is ever truly available. Seneca urged his readers to recognize that life does not wait, and that missed opportunities are often irretrievable. Epictetus reinforced the idea that fear fades in motion, that even uncertainty carries less weight once action is taken. The Stoics did not advocate reckless urgency, nor did they dismiss careful thought. They simply understood that waiting for certainty often ensures nothing happens at all. The if not now. When rule is not about rushing, it is about refusing to let hesitation define one's life. Those who embrace it do not wait for the perfect time to begin. They understand that the time is now, and that everything else is merely an excuse. The Stoics never sought control over the world. They sought control over themselves. They understood that life unfolds with unpredictability, that circumstances shift beyond one's command, and that waiting for the perfect moment is often just another form of inaction. Their wisdom was not about rigid discipline, nor about forcing change, but about engaging with life fully, with clarity, intention, and steady action. These 10 rules are not abstract theories. They are practical tools for navigating the complexity of daily life. They remind us that how we respond shapes far, far more than what happens to us, that consistency matters more than intensity, that hesitation is often an illusion, and that action, even imperfect action, carries more weight than endless planning. Each rule offers a way forward, not by eliminating difficulty, but by providing a framework for managing it. Marcus Aurelius reflected daily on how time once lost cannot be reclaimed. Seneca warned against the illusion of waiting for certainty before taking action. Epictetus taught that freedom is not found in avoiding hardship, but in the ability to meet it with resilience. Their insights remain just as relevant now as they were centuries ago, because the challenge of discipline, focus, and self-mastery is timeless. The difference between those who grow and those who remain stuck is rarely intelligence or talent. It is the structure they impose upon their lives. These principles serve as guides, not as rules to follow blindly, but as reminders that progress is always within reach. They reinforce the truth that mastery, whether over the mind, habits, or time, is not about perfection, but about consistency, about making the decision again and again to take responsibility for one's own path. In the end, the question is never whether challenges will arise. They will. The only real question is how we will meet them. And in that answer lies the difference between waiting for change and creating it, between hesitation and momentum, between being shaped by circumstances and shaping oneself within them. The work is never finished, but neither is the potential for growth, and in that space between what happens and how we choose to respond, lies the only true freedom there is. Conclusion. Life, with all its unpredictability, does not wait for perfect timing or ideal circumstances. The principles shared here are timeless tools meant to guide you toward clarity, resilience, and focused action. By choosing to apply them consistently, you empower yourself to shape your journey with intention rather than be shaped by external forces. Mastery is not achieved in sudden leaps, but through steady, deliberate steps. Stay committed, stay present, and remember, true growth comes not from waiting for life to change, but from stepping forward to change it yourself.